The city of Veralis 9 was never meant to be a war zone. It had markets, schools, and quiet homes. Then the sky cracked with fire, no warning, no time to prepare. The invaders came fast, dropping from orbit in black steel pods. Their drones crawled through the streets, burning everything that moved. People ran. Children screamed. The air filled with dust and fear. Alien refugees who had lived in peace with humans for years were suddenly targets again. The colony's walls fell in less than 1 hour. Communications were jammed. Power failed. The food supply vanished. Sergeant Cole Brenner was among the last soldiers stationed in the inner district. His squad had been wiped out during the first blast. Now he walked alone through smoke and ash. His armor was cracked. His supplies were almost gone. His last ration pack sat in his pouch, untouched. He turned into a narrow alley and stopped. In the corner, behind a broken wall, he saw 2 small figures huddled in fear. Alien children, blue-skinned, their heads ridged like bone coral, thin, shaking, hungry. Behind them stood a young woman, blue like them. Her white hair hung loose around her shoulders. She didn't speak. She only watched him. Cole raised his hand slowly. "It's okay," he said. "I'm not here to hurt you," one of the children whimpered. The woman placed a hand on his shoulder. She stepped slightly forward, her eyes locked on Cole's face. He could feel the question in her gaze. He knelt down and pulled out his ration. 1 packet, 1 meal. Enough to keep him moving another day. He opened it and tore the seal. Steam rose from the heated bowl. The smell made the children flinch. Hunger had become pain. Cole didn't speak again. He placed the bowl on the ground and pushed it toward them. Then he stood up and took 2 steps back. The children looked to the woman. She nodded once. They crawled forward and took the food. The moment felt still. The world around them stayed broken, but something in that small corner healed. Cole watched as the kids ate with shaking hands. The woman stepped closer, her eyes softer now. "Why?" she asked in a quiet voice. "Because they need it more than I do," Cole answered. "I can survive on less." "They can't." The woman tilted her head. "Most humans don't share with my kind. You do. That makes you different." Cole gave a tired smile. "War doesn't care what skin we wear. But maybe we should." She looked at him for a long time. Her body relaxed. "I'm called Yelani," she said. "These are my brother's children. He died in the first strike." "I'm Cole," he replied. "You're safe now. At least for the moment." Yelani stepped aside and gestured to the broken space beside her. "Then stay, rest. Your kindness is rare. It should be protected." Cole sat down against the wall. The cold stone pressed into his back. He watched the kids finish the last bits of food. Yelani knelt beside them and wiped their hands. Her movements were gentle, precise. She had raised them like her own. She turned to Cole again. "Your voice did not carry fear. It carried peace. I heard that." "So did they." Cole nodded. "Sometimes peace is louder than weapons. If anyone's going to lead in this mess, it better be someone who knows how to protect the smallest first." Yelani's eyes lingered on his face. "Then they will follow you. And so will I." In a city filled with ash and smoke, a new kind of command had just begun, not shouted with guns, but given with a gift. The morning came slow through the dust-filled sky. The light was pale, blocked by smoke and broken towers. Cole sat with his back against the same wall, eyes half closed. He hadn't slept much. His body ached. His stomach was empty. But the children had eaten. That was all that mattered. Yelani moved quietly beside him. She brought a blanket she had found in a ruined supply cart. Without a word, she placed it over his shoulders. He looked up at her, surprised. She didn't smile. She just nodded once and sat down across from him. "You stayed," she said softly. "Most would not. Most give food, then run. You gave food, then stayed. Cole rubbed his hands together for warmth. Didn't seem right to walk away. Not when the city's still burning, not when they still need help. Yelani tilted her head. Are all soldiers like you? No, he said. Some are better. Some are worse. I just do what I can with what I have. The children were playing with empty cans nearby. Their laughter was soft, but real. It was the first time Cole had heard joy since the attack. Yelani watched them with quiet eyes. They smile again, she said. Because of you. They smile because of you, Cole replied. You protected them before I even showed up. You kept them safe without weapons. That takes more strength than most soldiers have. Yelani looked away, but her expression softened. When my brother died, I thought I had nothing left. No strength, no voice. But your presence brought something back. A reason to believe in someone again. A warning chime echoed through the air, the sound of old tech still working. Yelani stood quickly and peeked around the corner. Scavenger patrol, she said. They're not from the enemy, but they take everything. Food, tools, sometimes people. Cole stood and picked up a metal rod he had sharpened into a blade. Get the kids behind the wall. I'll talk to them if they come close. Yelani nodded and moved fast. The children obeyed. Her without question. Cole stepped into the open. The patrol came down the alley in dirty armor, helmets cracked, weapons loose in hand. 4 of them. All human. The leader stopped when he saw Cole. You alone? He asked. No, Cole replied. I've got 2 alien children and their guardian. They're not soldiers. Just survivors. One of the men laughed. We don't take sides, we take what's left. And they're part of what's left. Cole didn't lower his weapon. You'll take nothing from them. If you want trouble, try me first. The man looked at him with narrowed eyes. You think we care who you are? Cole stepped forward. I don't need you to care. I just need you to back off. Because if you don't, I'll make sure none of you leave this alley. There was silence. One of the scavengers raised his weapon, but the leader stopped him. He spat in the dust and turned away. Not worth it. Come on. They walked off, boots crunching in the dirt. Cole lowered his rod and exhaled slowly. Yelani stepped out from hiding with the kids. You didn't fight, she said. But you won. Sometimes the right stance is enough, he answered. But only if someone's watching who believes in it. Yelani stared at him for a moment. You lead not with fear, but with presence. You stood between danger and us without shouting, without force. That makes others see you differently. I'm not trying to lead, Cole said. I'm just trying to do what's right. She walked closer. That is why you lead. That is why I follow. Not because you demand, but because you serve. The children ran to them. One held Cole's hand. The other handed him a small broken charm. For you, the child said. So you stay. Cole took it and nodded. He looked at Yelani. I'll stay. As long as you need me, she nodded back. Without hesitation, and for the first time, Cole felt like he had found more than a mission. He had found people worth standing for. The wind picked up in the afternoon. Ash blew through the streets like dry snow. Cole helped patch a gap in the nearby wall using metal scraps and broken crates. Yelani handed him tools without being asked. They worked in silence. Every piece mattered. Every repair gave the children more safety. Inside the small shelter, the kids sat drawing shapes in the dust. They hummed to themselves. Cole looked over once and saw Yelani watching them with a calm face. They believe this place is theirs again, she said. Even if just for now. Cole wiped sweat from his brow. Sometimes that's all we get. A moment of peace. Long enough to breathe before the next storm. Yelani stepped closer. You speak like someone who's seen too many storms. I've served in 6 colonies, he replied. Every time we built something, someone tried to tear it down. Sometimes it was aliens. Sometimes it was humans. Doesn't make a difference when you're digging graves. She looked down at the dirt. You're tired, but still you build. Still you feed others. That's not weakness. That's something sacred. He didn't know what to say. No one had called his actions sacred before. He just did what needed to be done. But when she said it, it felt like it mattered. A soft alarm clicked from Cole's wrist device. He checked the signal. Supply drops landed northwest. Might be food, medicine, maybe a working cum unit. That's far, Yelani said. You won't make it alone. And if you fall, no one helps us. I wasn't planning to go alone, he said. I was hoping you'd come. She blinked once, surprised. Then she nodded. If you speak, I will follow. That has not changed. He smiled faintly. Then we move at first light. That night, they shared what little warmth the wall could hold. The kids curled into each other, safe and full for once. Yelani leaned against the stone, watching stars flicker beyond the broken roof. They look different now, she whispered. The stars. Not like when I was young. Cole lay nearby. You changed. Not them. Maybe, she said. But tonight I don't fear them. That's enough. Before dawn they set out. Cole carried a salvaged rifle and 2 water packs. Yelani carried a shock spear made from scavenged tech. They moved through broken buildings, avoiding drone patrols. The city was scarred. Fires still burned in the east. No birds, no voices. Only wind and war. When they reached the drop site, they saw others. Survivors. Armed. Tired. Hungry. The crate had been opened already. Only scraps remained. A fight was brewing. 2 men argued over a medical case. One pulled a knife. Cole stepped forward and raised a hand. We don't want trouble. We just need supplies. Enough to help children. One of the men turned. Children? You think that makes you special? We're all dying. Yelani moved beside Cole, her spear lowered, her eyes calm. He speaks for more than himself. And we don't ask for all. Only what we need. The man stared at her, then at Cole. Slowly he lowered the knife. Take what you need. We're done here. They gathered what was left. 1 food pack. A sealed water tube. A solar bandage. Not much, but enough to matter. As they walked back, Yelani looked at him. You didn't threaten. You spoke with reason. And they listened. Some people just need to be reminded they're still human. Cole said. When they returned, the kids ran out to meet them. One hugged Cole's leg. The other reached up to touch his hand. Yelani crouched beside them and opened the food pack. He brings hope, she told them. And where he walks we follow. That night, a small light flickered from the shelter roof. It was a makeshift beacon, powered by the solar bandage. Cole adjusted its direction to send a signal out into the dark, not for rescue, but to tell the world someone was still standing. Asterisk, the beacon pulsed steadily through the night. Soft blue light blinking above the shelter told anyone nearby that survivors were here. Not desperate, not begging. Just present, alive, standing. By morning the winds had changed. Less ash, more heat. Cole walked through the ruined market with Yelani beside him. They moved with purpose, checking old stalls and hidden corners. Few sealed boxes remained under the rubble, small things. Dry crackers, a single flashlight with cracked glass. A torn map. They brought everything back to the shelter. The children helped sort supplies. Their small hands worked fast, their faces brighter than before. Every step Cole took, they followed. Every word he said, they listened. Even without trying, he had become their guide. Yelani sat with the map and studied it carefully. There's a military outpost here, she said, pointing. If we reach it, we could find more food. Maybe protection. Maybe more humans like you. Cole nodded. It's risky. The roads between here and that site are exposed. And the invaders patrol them often. We can't stay here forever, Yelani replied. You've kept us alive. But they'll come. It's only a matter of time. He looked around at the shelter. The patched walls, the warm fire pit, the sleeping mats. He had built something with her, with the children. But it wasn't a home. It was only a pause between storms. Then we move tomorrow, he said. We'll travel light. At first light, that evening, a figure approached from the east. A woman, human, wounded, limping. Cole rushed to help her. She collapsed in his arms. I followed your signal, she gasped. I thought no one was left. They brought her inside. Yelani wrapped her leg. The children brought her water. Cole sat nearby and listened as she spoke. They hit our block without warning. We scattered. I saw your beacon and hoped it meant safety. Cole placed a hand on her shoulder. You're safe now. Rest. We move soon, and you'll move with us. The woman stared at him like he was a myth. You're leading them? She asked. They're aliens. Cole looked at Yelani. Then at the children. Then back at the woman. They're people, same as us. They hurt. They bleed. They hope. That's all that matters. The woman lowered her eyes. No one else talks like that anymore. Then it's time someone did, he said. The next day, they prepared to leave. They packed small bags, shared supplies evenly. The children were ready. Yelani carried the spear. The new woman leaned on a walking stick made from broken metal. Cole led the way, checking corners and scanning every path. They moved through dead streets and broken tunnels. At one point, a drone flew low overhead. They hid under a collapsed transport truck. The drone passed without stopping. No one made a sound. When it was gone, Yelani whispered, Your calm becomes ours. Even in fear. After hours of walking, they found an old shelter built into the hillside. It had been sealed for years. But the door still worked. Inside they found canned food, water tanks, and bedding. Enough to rest for the night. Enough to survive another week. Cole checked the roof for signals. The antenna was broken. But he adjusted the beacon settings. Now it blinked faster. Stronger. He stood there a long time, watching the light flash against the fading sky. Yelani joined him. You've done what few could, she said. You gave order to chaos. You gave food to the hungry. You gave voice to those forgotten. I didn't do it alone, he said. No, she replied. But without you, none of us would have taken the first step. Below them, the children laughed quietly as they played with rocks near the fire. The human woman helped cook a simple meal. The shelter glowed with life. Yelani reached for Cole's hand and held it for a moment. This journey isn't over, she said. But I already know how it ends, not with fear, but with hope. The shelter's air was warm for the first time in days. A soft hum came from the old battery unit they had managed to recharge. The lights flickered gently overhead. The group sat together around a small metal table, eating canned fruit and dried meat. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Cole watched the children as they smiled through the meal. Their faces had changed since he first saw them, no longer hollow and scared. They were alive again. Not just breathing, but laughing, learning, growing. Yelani sat beside him, her hand close to his on the table. She no longer guarded her words. She no longer watched him from a distance. Now when she looked at him, there was trust. Not just in his actions, in who he was. We've come far, she said. Farther than I ever imagined possible, because of one moment. One meal, one choice, Cole nodded. Small choices matter more than we think. They echo farther than we see. The woman they had rescued, Lyra, had recovered quickly. She had found an old transceiver hidden in the shelter's lower chamber. With Cole's help, she rebuilt it. After 3 days of work, they sent a signal, a real one. Wide range, strong pulse. The next morning, a reply came. A voice across the static. Human. Clear. This is Relay Station 18. We read you. Survivors confirmed. Extraction in 24 hours. They stood in silence, absorbing the words. Yelani looked at Cole. You brought this. Not with weapons. Not with orders, but with presence. With care, he looked out the cracked window. The city was still. Broken, still dangerous. But now it wasn't silent. Someone had heard them. Someone was coming. As the hours passed, they prepared for departure. They packed light. They left notes in the shelter in case others came looking for safety. Lyra folded blankets. The children carried small bags. Yelani placed her hand on the beacon one last time. It called more than help, she whispered. It called us together. The transport ship landed just outside the ruins. Dust blew in waves as the landing gear settled. Soldiers stepped out, scanning the area. When they saw Cole leading the group forward, weapons lowered. A medic rushed to check the children. Others offered blankets and food. One of the officers walked up to Cole. You're the one who sent the signal? Cole nodded. I didn't do it alone. They helped. We did it together. The officer glanced at Yelani, at the kids, at Lyra. Then he looked back at Cole. They followed you. That says more than any title. Cole didn't respond with pride. He just looked at his group. Then he turned back to the officer. We're ready to go. But wherever we end up next, they stay with me. Understood, the officer said. Inside the ship, the lights were soft. The air was clean, the seats warm. The children fell asleep almost instantly. Lyra leaned back and closed her eyes. Cole sat near the window, watching the city fade behind them. Yelani sat beside him, her voice low. You gave everything, even your food, not for gain, but for others. And now we walk free, not as saved, but as changed. Cole turned to her. We found something in the middle of all this. Something worth protecting. That's what makes it real. She smiled gently. You were never just a soldier. You were a guide, and now you are more than that. To them. To me. As the ship moved higher into the sky, the ruined world below shrank. But the bond they carried grew larger, stronger, not built by power, but by kindness. Cole leaned back, finally resting. Not because the fight was over, but because, for the first time, he wasn't fighting alone.